Hi everyone, I'm Nora Crone. I'm a violist in New York City, co-founder of the Till Project for String Players, and a musician's vocal dystonia recovery advocate. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the dangers of playing familiar repertoire during dystonia recovery and how learning new music can support our progress. If you're totally new here, I highly recommend you check out some of my previous videos where I explain more about the process that helped me recover from dystonia. I'll leave some links down below, but in essence, through learning a system of playing called the Till approach with a violinist named Sophie Till, I gradually changed my brain through movement and my symptoms slowly disappeared. After 2 years of regular lessons, I returned to professional playing, and now I have the privilege of assisting others, primarily violists and violinists, in their recovery. So, old and new repertoire. First, as will hopefully be clear if you watch the videos I've linked to below or if you've seen some of my previous videos, this approach to dystonia recovery is about using movement to create new neural pathways. Crucially, these new pathways are being stimulated by a different technical approach to the instrument than the one that led to dystonia, an approach based on applying the same physical logic that we employ all of the time in daily life to the demands of the instrument. We can think of the old pathways and their accompanying movement strategies as route A, and the new ones as route B. Learning a complete route B approach to playing is a challenging process and almost always needs to take place under the guidance of someone trained in this process to be successful. However, I'm living proof that it is possible. Now, it's probably pretty obvious, but any piece we've played before, especially if we've played it a lot, is by definition going to be chock full of route A stuff. When we learned it, we didn't have any other system of approaching the technical and musical demands of the piece. So our only way of relating to it was with that old logic and all of its corresponding neural pathways. For this reason, once the basics of route B have been established at the instrument, the next step involves applying those movements to new repertoire. This unfamiliar repertoire presents a blank canvas, a fresh opportunity to relate to the physical and cognitive task of playing with a completely novel strategy. When we do this, it's very important that we approach it as dryly and clinically as possible. What are the mechanics of the instrument needed to produce what's on the page? And what are the route B movements that will make the instrument do that? In the earliest stages, it can even be helpful to divorce any musical intention from what we're doing so that we can remain in the realm of ordinary movement. If the dystonia is in the left arm, we can learn the piece without the bow or right hand first, so we're not distracted by the sound. If the dystonia is in the right arm, we might do it on open strings, on a single note, or by placing the bow on another object. Obviously, as time goes on, we get better and better at locating these route B movements in an increasingly refined form. And the more evolved and complete our understanding of route B, the less the brain will resort to route A. Once the brain has had plenty of experiences assembling new pieces with route B logic, we can, and may need to, return to old repertoire. It can actually be a fascinating experience as long as we don't get swept up by our old logic, which of course means approaching it with a completely fresh perspective. Interestingly, I've had the experience of playing a piece for the first time that I'd only ever heard and absorbed while still living in my route A reality. But the degree of old stuff that came to the surface was nearly the same as if I'd actually played it before. For the new neural pathways to really work in all situations, everything from the mechanics to the musical expression to the sound itself and even our feelings and ideas about the piece need to be reconfigured within that route B reality. And if you're wondering exactly how that happens, I invite you to have a lesson and find out for yourself. I really hope this video was helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you think could benefit. If you want to know more about dystonia recovery, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you want to know more about healthy string playing in general, you can also subscribe to the Till Project. I'm Nora Crone, and my website is www.noracrone.com. Thanks everyone. See you next time.